Hey guys, today I am here with a book review. So I love to read. I used to read all the time. I'll be honest, I fell off it a lot in college. You have to read so much for class, and I know I'm not the only one who feels this way because I've talked to a lot of people about it. It's hard to get yourself into a good mindset to read casually for fun and for enjoyment whenever you have so many reading assignments, things like textbooks, which does anyone love reading unless it's just like a particularly interesting topic, which it rarely is because we have to take so many classes outside of whatever it is you're majoring in and all that. By the way, if you hear jingling in the background, that is my cat running with her cute little bell collar, which I adore. She does not, and I'm currently winning that argument. So, but today I'm reviewing, I'd never heard of this book, I'll be honest. My boyfriend recommended it to me, and I loved it. So spoiler alert, I guess, but it is Steven Erikson's Gardens of the Moon, which is a fantasy book series. There are 10 books. They are dense. It probably looks like a pretty normal sized book here. The text is quite small. It's nothing unmanageable, but it is quite dense. So it takes a while to read. I would find myself, I mean, you never necessarily feel like the story isn't progressing, but you can read for what feels like a long time, and then you look and you're like, I've made it like 20 pages maybe. So it took me a while to get through, but it didn't feel like a drawn out time. It didn't feel like it was lagging or it wasn't getting anywhere or I wasn't enjoying it. If anything, it's almost nice because it felt like there's a lot of bang for your buck with this. There's a lot of book, there's a lot of story, and the number one thing, which I've heard this before, and it's kind of how it was pitched to me by my boyfriend, is that Steven Erikson is a master at creating worlds. So I realized this right away. I was like, okay, sure. Hopefully it'll be like a cool universe where this is set. But I started it and I was not even through the first chapter, which they're pretty long chapters, most of them. But I found myself pausing maybe like, I don't know, 5 or 6 pages into the book and thinking, wow, like this is pretty, like I'm already here. Like I can see the world, I can envision it. Like I'm invested in the characters. And I was like, I don't even know who they are yet. I haven't even met most of the characters yet. So he really does. He has a way of writing that just draws you in and you feel so welcome to this world that the book is set in. And I think that is it is a wonderful quality. It is the quality of a wonderful writer. So my biggest pros for this book, as I've kind of already said, the world and the way that the author draws you into it is breathtaking. And like I say, it's a fantasy, but it's not over the top. You don't find yourself being like, okay, you know, like the wizards are attacking the dragons and there are wizards, sure, there are dragons, but it doesn't feel like this far-fetched, crazy thing. It feels believable. It feels like a tangible world that you can like really get immersed in. And when it comes to a series that has 10 books, might I say it again, 10 books, and I believe this is the shortest of them, you need to be drawn in. If you are not invested in this world and these characters, there's no way you're gonna make it through 10 books. So love that about this book, love that about this author. I 100% will continue with this series. Probably not right away because, goodness, like I said, it took me a very long time to get through this book. I have a bookshelf, I have a shelf in my room dedicated to books I own that I have not read. And I made a new rule for myself recently that I'm not allowed to purchase new books unless there's room on that shelf. And there is not right now. So I have to finish some of the books I already own before I can buy any more. So unfortunately, book 2 of this series is going to have to wait until I finish some others, which I'm not mad about because I think this is a book series, like as a series, that I want to continue reading. I want to become more immersed in, but I don't want to do it all at once. I don't want to get burnt out on it. I want to space it out. I read this one, I'll probably read 2 or 3 books outside of the series that I get to choose, just, you know, whatever I'm feeling. And then when I'm ready, I'll go back to it. And then I'll repeat that cycle. And, you know, this will be a series that will last me for years. And I'm not mad about it. Because, quite frankly, it's kind of disappointing when you roll through a series and you've read them all and there's nothing left and you're like, but I want more. So I personally think this will be a wonderful journey for me to go on for years to come, and I definitely recommend this book to anybody looking for a fantasy style book. Now, with that being said, it is fantasy. So if you are someone who loves a good love story, if you're more into comedy, you like drama but you want it to be realistic, this is not for you. If you are not one to commit to long books and actually finish them through, this is not for you. It is a commitment. But what I kind of went into it, I asked my boyfriend, who has read an insane amount of fantasy books and like completed series. He's completed this series. I said, listen, I read Game of Thrones. I only made it through like 4 of the books because I'm hesitant to keep going knowing the others aren't out yet. Give me something I can chew on. Give me something I can delve into, really enjoy, that is complete and that can kind of fill that hole in my life, because we all know how the final season of Game of Thrones went, and I was kind of using the show to fill the hole, knowing that the books weren't released. And after that, it just left it left something lacking. We won't get into it, but I mean, yeah, I sat him down and I said, listen, give me something to work with. And this was what he recommended to me. He said he's never recommended it to anyone else because it is dense. It's a lot. It's quite a commitment. And I'm telling him he needs to recommend it to all of his friends that he's hesitated to, because it is fantastic. It is a fantastic book. It really gives you something to delve into, and I think it's a great escape, especially with quarantine and all the movements currently going on in the world. I think having something like this, where it is fantasy, it is different from our world, being able to escape away into that, even if just for a short period of time, can be really healthy, honestly, because I find myself quite overwhelmed in the current state of things with the elections coming up, and I don't have to tell you guys why the world is overwhelming at times. So this is a wonderful book if you're needing an escape from that. So 2 thumbs up, highly recommend. I would give it, I didn't plan on having a rating scale. I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. Primarily knocking stars off because it's a bit hard to digest. It is dense. There's a lot of it. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know, having a lot to go through, a lot to enjoy. If you think of it in the perspective of there's a lot there for you to enjoy, then it's not so bad. But since I mentioned I do have a very large bookshelf of unread books that I own, I'm trying to get through. Going on to the next one is not quite it for me at the moment, but as I said, I 100% will continue the series. I recommend it for anybody looking for a new fantasy series that is complete. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy this review. Let me know if there are any specific books you would want to hear opinions about. I have that bookshelf I'm going through. I'll probably do reviews for most of them that I finish if I have any particular feelings about them. And that's it for now. So bye, guys.